Mobius Lesson 8a, homework question number 3. For the function f of x equals 2 times 2 raised to the x plus 5. Evaluate for the following: f of 1, f of 0, f of negative 1. All right, over here on my right-hand side, I have, again, the order of operations written across, parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, then add and subtract. And I do have an exponent right here, so that will be the first thing that we evaluate as we work this out. Some of you might be a little nervous as we all of a sudden have an exponent in, or the variable in the exponent, but we'll just take it one step at a time. Just as we've done before, we're going to take this equation, and when I want to evaluate it for a number, we will replace the variable with parentheses and then type in the number of whatever it is here. That helps us avoid any negative mistakes. All right, so let's go ahead and evaluate this by hand first, and making sure that we do the parentheses, which we don't have, so we're going to do the exponent here. 2 raised to the first power, that means that I have 1, 2, that's what this exponent is just 2. So when I am evaluating this, we're just going to copy, paste. 2 raised to the first power is just 2. So I have 2 times 2 plus 5. And moving through my order of operations, I need to multiply now. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then we'll add the 5 on. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. There we go. So I could just type that in and then go through this process again, but just as we did before, we can also use Excel. And to type this into Excel, we're going to do 2 times 2, and Shift 6 gives us the caret button that says that's in the exponent, raised to the x, which will be our cell to the left, and then add 5. Make sure that you're not putting any parentheses in here that would accidentally put something else up in the exponent. It's just the cell to the left. And clicking enter will match exactly what we got, so that's great. And then we can click and drag down, and that'll give us the next answers instead of doing that all out by hand. I kind of want to do the last one by hand just to show you, just for those of you who might be curious of having the negative in the exponent. If you're not curious, feel free to skip through a little bit on this video so that you don't have to watch the negative, but it's up to you. I'm not going to type this whole thing out, so I'm just going to put in a negative here so that you know that that's what I'm doing. I'm going to evaluate this for the negative 1. Now this is not just 2 because this is a negative here, and when I have a negative in the exponent, one way of thinking about that is that it's on the wrong floor of the fraction. So I have 2 to a negative 1, so that just, this negative just says take them downstairs. So it goes 1 over 2. Whoops, that should be a division sign. 1 over 2. And it goes downstairs, and then I raise that to whatever the variable or the exponent is, which is a 1. And we know 2 to the 1 is just 2. So it's just 2. And we could put that up there if we wanted to. We could raise it to a 1 if we wanted. There we go. Highlight it first. 2 raised to the 1. But 2 raised to the 1 is just 2. So I have the fraction 1 over 2. Okay, so then I have 2, we should delete this, 2 times 1/2, which gives me just 1, and 1 plus 5 gives us 6. So that's kind of fun. I like working with negatives in the exponent because it just moves it across the fraction line. If I happened to have a negative down here, if this was, oops, if that were, I can't get that up there. If this were a negative, there we go. If this were a negative on the bottom, then that would say take the 2 upstairs. And so we would take it back upstairs, and then it would become a positive exponent because then it would be on the right floor. And then the reason that we have this 1 here is simply because we can put that 1 on top and not change the value of anything. All right, so let's go ahead and type in our numbers here. 9, 7, and and 6. And just double check our how did we do and move on to the next one.